Is my dad in prison for assaulting a child? Yes. Does that absolutely suck for me? Yes.
Hey guys, today we're talking about an influencer who's under hot water, and I do want to give a trigger warning for this video because we are going to be talking about child essay. So if that's not something you're interested in hearing about, I won't be offended if you choose not to watch this video. So the influencer at hand today's name is Patience Wolf, and she goes by Trailer Park Pretty on TikTok. She has over 700,000 followers. Now, she garnered those followers by being real, being authentic, and people really enjoyed watching her glow up from being a single mom, living kind of in poverty in a trailer, to moving up in the world, becoming more financially stable, being a better mom, working hard and reaping the benefits of that hard work. And people really related to that. And her glow up wasn't like this crazy, insane thing where she started living in a mansion. She moved into a bigger trailer from a smaller trailer. And that was realistic, and people really resonated with that. Now, what is the controversy? Patience Wolf's father, Jeremy, was convicted of child SA. He SA'd an 8-year-old, and that's not alleged. He pled guilty and he did confess. So you might be wondering, well, how is that her fault? What does that have to do with her? She's not responsible for her father. No, it's the allegation that she let her father have access to her own children after he confessed and was out on bail for this crime. Now, there's a lot of moving parts to the story. There's ex-baby daddies, there's her current boyfriend's baby mother, the boyfriend's kids, Patient's kids. I'm not going to spend too much time on that aspect because I don't care about your drama with your baby daddy. Not when this is the topic of the story. Maybe if it was a different video and there wasn't such a serious situation going on, I might care to delve into the drama with your ex-baby daddy and you paying for his truck and all this, that, and the other. I do not care about that. I just want to talk about this allegation that Patience allowed her father to have access to her children after he full on R-word of an 8-year-old. By the way, the mother of this victim wants this story out.
Patience's father was indicted to the grand jury on June the 29th, 2022. According to the indictment filed in the state of Mississippi and Stone County, Mississippi. I will be reading from this indictment. Y'all, I have to let y'all know, I cannot understand why people think that because someone has a certain amount of followers or they come from a certain level or they built their self up to be this and that and other, and you see 2 minutes of their life a day, that things like this don't happen, because they absolutely do. Back to this indictment. Again, June the 29th, 2022, he was indicted. There's 3 counts against him and 1 against a Karen Brown Pierce. I will be reading, but I want to remind you that
Karen Brown Pierce was Patience's stepmother. She was married to her father, Jeremy, the man who is convicted of this crime. She killed herself because she was also indicted alongside the father, because it was alleged, she was never convicted because she died, that she knew, she didn't tell, and she aided the husband in being able to commit these acts. Now, when this woman took an overdose of some kind of medication, she was in the hospital, Patience Wolf went to the internet and said, "My stepmother has cancer. Please donate to my GoFundMe." She knew that woman did not have cancer. And then she continued to ask for money for the funeral expenses when that woman finally did pass away. And she did not die of cancer. She killed herself because she was facing criminal indictment for aiding her husband in his criminal acts.
He took those kids to the beach in like 2023, right? That was on social media. I don't think it's there anymore, but it was there. Y'all, I have to issue a trigger warning at this point. And I'm sorry, I've had to recompose myself 3 or 4 times to even get through this. It is so heartbreaking because it's far worse than I ever imagined. Again, this is your trigger warning. If you don't want to know things like this, please scroll on. It says Circuit Court, County of Stone, Mississippi, State of Mississippi. Count 1. Blank battery. Because I'm not sure what all I can say on here, y'all. And I'm trying to be very careful. Jeremy Wendell Pierce in Stone County, Mississippi, on or between August the 1st, 2020 and December 31st, 2020, being at the time in question 24 months or older than, it has a set of initials, the initials of the child, did willfully, purposely, unlawfully, and feloniously commit blank battery upon a child who was at the time in question under 14 years of age by engaging in the act of, to wit, by inserting his into the of said contrary to the form of the statute in such cases made and provided and against the peace and dignity of the state of Mississippi. Count 2. Jeremy Wendell Pierce in Stone County, Mississippi, on or between January the 1st, 2021 and April 31st, 2021, being at time in question 24 months or older than the child, did willfully, purposely, unlawfully, and feloniously commit blank battery upon a child who was at the time in question under the age of 14 by engaging in the act.
Okay, so he did it. He was arrested. He confessed during his interrogation. The child was 8 years old. He's old, like 50, 60 years old. And he full-on essayed this child. Now, that's done and over with. He's in prison, okay? He's suffering the consequences. Old girl, the wife who knew this was going on and didn't help, didn't say nothing, let the kid come over all the time, she's dead. What we're talking about today is the enabling of predators by family members, by loved ones, and also these parasocial relationships that people have with influencers, especially on TikTok, I've noticed, more so than anywhere else, but that's just my opinion. Because Patience Wolf, her followers are just defending her to the death. They're fighting tooth and nail in every comment section. But it's like, we have evidence that she probably bailed him out of prison in the first place because he was out on bail for a couple of years pending this plea deal, and she let him come stay with her, be with them while they took the kids to the beach. All kinds of just, that is so neglectful. That is so scary. And allegedly, she could have testified against him and she refused.
Patience Wolf. The indictment of her father has been read. So all the proof that you guys want, it's here. You could go, I'm going to tag the creator down below who has read the documents. Go read the documents for yourself if you have any doubt in your mind. There were pictures of her father at the beach with her kids after the grand jury had indicted this man. It is far worse than you can even imagine. For the people saying y'all mind y'all business, but it was okay for the Gulf Coast Stapletons to be spoken about. Y'all are saying it's okay that the reason she put for the GF.
The Gulf Coast Stapletons are referenced in a few of these TikToks, and that's because if you don't know, there's this woman named Brittany Stapleton, and then they also have an account, Gulf Coast Stapletons. They live in Florida, and they owned like a boating company. I don't know. Doesn't matter. The husband was just convicted of having like hundreds of images of horrific child essay. And the wife, Brittany, got on TikTok after her husband went to jail and said, I knew all about it and I don't care. That's what she said. Her comments are off. Well, they're limited because there's people in the comments that still support this lady. And not to get too off topic, but her jail phone calls with her husband just got released, and she's on there talking about how, don't worry, babe, I deleted your search history. And that could be another video if you guys want to hear more about that, or you could just go to TikTok and search Brittany Stapleton. It's horrible, but these things happen within a month of each other. These things came out on TikTok. So Brittany Stapleton is referenced, and that is why.
That her stepmother had passed away. The woman who was also indicted with her father, the reason was not, in fact, the reason she actually passed away. So she lied to people in here allegedly. That's okay, right? she was dishonest about that, that was okay also. But just because y'all have watched these videos of her and say she takes great care of her kids, there's a parasocial relationship. People think that bringing awareness is gossiping. That is jealousy. But it's okay to expose every other PDF file. I have no understanding for this, and I can't wrap my head around the people that support it.
I have to issue a trigger warning, as I did in the last video. There are some very disturbing things in this interrogation. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just some highlighted passages. Back to your question about why Betty continued to allow the child to go over there. And I quote, Jeremy asked Captain Skonowich why would the child stay at his house all summer long if this was going on and nobody made her stay at his house and she kept begging to come back. Jeremy, that's Patient's father, asked Captain Skonowich why would she do that if he was M-wording her and R-wording her. Captain Skonowich then stated to Jeremy that the child stated,
Betty is the mother of the victim.
That he told her if she told anyone that he would call CPS and she would be taken away from her mother. Mind you, this is an 8 or 9-year-old child, so she's fearful that CPS will take her away if she tells. Y'all, I'm going to try to compose myself and read a few more passages off this, and I know this video might be a little bit long, but y'all bear with me and watch to the end. This is very important stuff. I'm going to back up. Captain Skonowich asked Jeremy if he'd ever done anything, and he denied it, of course. And he said he could not do that to that baby because it would be like doing that to one of his own. And him and his wife gave the child everything she wanted. Captain Skonowich stated to Jeremy that the child said when he was drinking or drunk, she could smell the alcohol on him. Jeremy, y'all, this part right here, asked Captain Skonowich how many diseases did he have, and they needed to find out. Captain Skonowich asked Jeremy why, and Jeremy stated that he and his lawyer will talk about this, and he's not done yet. Y'all. Whew, I'm so sorry. To continue on with that part, there's some questions going on, and of course he denies everything. Captain Skonowich stated to Jeremy that the child is pretty much in detail about what happened. Captain Skonowich stated to Jeremy that he had said something about STD earlier and wanted to know what he meant by that. Jeremy stated to Captain Skonowich that he wanted to know, does she have any? Captain Skonowich...
Okay, so I'm going to paraphrase this. Jeremy, the perpetrator, accused the 8-year-old of having STDs because she had a bunch of boyfriends at school. But in reality, he was victimizing her and was possibly worried that he gave her a disease. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
8 cop cars, 3 CPS workers. That is what was at Trailer Park Pretty's house 2 days ago.
So after all this came out and it was reported that she allowed this man around her children after she knew he confessed and was indicted for child SA, CPS came and took the kids from Patience Wolf.
Okay. And let me tell you why. I've been following this case since the very moment it happened. Mind you, I have asked Betty's permission and Matt, the father of, if I can speak on this, and they have both said yes. Matt is the father to Serenity and MJ, Patience Wolf's 2 children, and then is the daughter to Johnny. The 3 kids are currently staying with Mackenzie, which is Trailer Park Pretty's 19-year-old niece. They made Johnny and Patience leave the home, and the reason is because Patience's father SA'd a woman named Betty's daughter. Okay, this happened several years ago. However, he was just indicted a couple weeks ago and sentenced for prison. That is why this is all coming out now, because people can finally speak about it. Patience's children were in the bed when Miss Betty's daughter was assaulted. Patience never had her children checked. And Patience's mother said that she left Patience's dad, Jeremy Pierce, because he had done unspeakable things to his children. Meaning Patience herself was also a victim of her father. I was on live last night with her brother and got a slew of information. Many people keep saying, stop talking about this, support her, love her. I will not. I will not. She did not want to get her children checked out, and I'm sorry, but that is just absolutely vile. I really like if you would go to my bio and click the link, and if you can, please help Matt out, Patience's baby daddy. He's gonna need attorneys and a new truck so that he can have reliable transportation for his children. The children to Matt and Patience are only going to be in DHS custody until he can prove that the children are his.
So Matt is Patience's baby daddy that she's not with, and because their children are in CPS custody, but also the guardian is a 19-year-old relative of Patience, the father is trying to get custody of the kids so they can just go be with their dad. Now, I didn't look into the father. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know why he doesn't have a car. I don't know why he doesn't have a job. I don't care. I'm not looking into that because this is one topic. Patience giving access to her children by her father when he was indicted for these serious crimes. I don't care about the baby daddy drama, period. But I do hope that whatever happens with these kids is in their best interest and they are safe. And if it's with their biological father, I really hope that he does the best that he can do and takes good care of them. I mean, there's a reason why CPS didn't give them to you right away, but that's for them to look into, and I'm glad that he's trying.
The children to Matt and Patience are only going to be in DHS custody until he can prove that the children are his, because Patience pulled the, oh, those aren't his kids card. And as far as her paternal grandmother is trying to get her and said that the father is a POS. If that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what does. Anyways, I just wanted to fill you guys in. I know, I've been posting a lot.
The 19-year-old niece of Patience Wolf that has custody of the kids right now goes onto TikTok and makes a video in defense of Patience. In my opinion, there's trauma bonds all over the place. Patience has a trauma bond with her father. This niece has a trauma bond with Patience. Because look, Patience's niece was also SA'd when she was a younger girl by one of Patience's old boyfriends. So everybody's getting hurt around here. And look, if there's multiple people SAing the children around you as a mother, something's wrong. Something's wrong with your radar. And that doesn't mean that you're enabling it or handing them up, although Patience might be guilty of that, but I just mean anybody out there that has had people in their lives that are disgusting. Because of trauma that happens to us when we're young, it messes up our radar. So certain red flags that someone else would see, you might not see that. And that just means that, you know, we could all use therapy. Hello, nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, before I show you what the niece has to say, she is going to talk about how another one of Patience's boyfriends was essaying her. So your boyfriend's essaying kids, your dad's essaying kids, and you're not keeping these people away, and you have kids to take care of. That's a problem.
TikTok, I'm Mackenzie, aka Patience's, aka Trailer Park Pretty's niece. So it's been brought to my attention that there has been some things going around social media regarding my aunt, and that she's just this terrible parent, terrible mother. So I'm here to talk about that, so I will. So let's start from the beginning. My aunt took me in when I was 4, when she was 17, and she has helped me my entire life. I'm going to start with the first problem, which is the Scott Lombardi issue. That was nowhere near my aunt's problem, no, I'm not going to say problem. It was nowhere near my aunt's fault.
For those who don't know who Scott Lombardi is, that is Patience's old boyfriend who raped her sweet niece.
Because I was 8 when he raped me twice, a total of 2 times. And I know that he's other women after me, other children. Why they keep letting him out of jail? That's just the world we live in. So I didn't speak of it until I was 15. So that's the Scott situation. We're going to move on to the Jeremy situation, another assault topic. So the reason why he was allowed around family and the kids was because he was released from jail, and they had said that he was not guilty of the things he was being accused of. So we believed them because it was the law, and we thought they were being truthful. Once he went back to jail, and they had said that he was guilty that time, we never contacted him again. Neither did the kids. They weren't allowed to see him. We didn't want to see him. We were just disgusted by everything because we had finally knew the truth.
But that's a lie, Mackenzie. Y'all did know the truth, and you still stuck by her dad. There's proof of it. Literal proof. She let her kids go to the beach with him. He was living with her. Be so for real.
You know, calling CPS and all of this. They're at the age where they understand what's going on. They should not have to be doing this just because their father hates his ex-wife's success more than he loves his kids. It truly is sad for him to feel so prideful about this.
Mackenzie, I'm almost positive that DHS stepped in because the kids had never been checked out when they were supposed to be checked out, because they were in the same bed as the child who got SA'd when her father was there, the same child. Okay, so that's why I'm sure, like 99% sure, as to everything that's going on now in that household.
Because not only is he going to lose this report, he's also going to lose his kids too. Another 2 of his kids, because he also has other kids that he has nothing to do with, nor does he pay child support for them either.
About the fact that Johnny only pays $40 a month to his child and he makes over $30 an hour. What about that?
It's your due diligence as a mother to find out if those allegations are cleared. There's no way the police, I don't believe you, the police did not go over to patients and say, your dad is not guilty. That didn't happen, okay? He was bailed out of jail. If he's out on bail, it's your responsibility to find out. You knew he was accused of these things. And according to patient's own mother, that man was doing horrific things to her children. That would be Patience, and if they're siblings, I don't know. I don't know. Patience has never acknowledged or admitted that her father did anything to her. I'm sure it's quite possible. There's no way this man went his entire life and never did this before until this child, who was brave as heck to tell. And I'm very proud of her. But let's say he doesn't do it to his own blood relatives. Okay, well, Patience, you never had any friends that came around that said anything. I'm just saying there should be enough over the years of your life, things that connect. Oh, remember that one time my dad was weird with my friend, or my friend stopped coming over, or that one friend that told her parents that my dad did this. Just him being arrested in the first place, you should not have let him come around whatsoever.
Could be, you know, photoshopped or whatever. I will insert the proof straight from Patience's page. She recorded and posted a video of her and her parents going to the beach March the 30th of 2024. Mind you, he was indicted June the 29th of 2022 and pled guilty July 29th, 2025. Here's a snippet from that.
Just left the beach. We were there today with my parents. Now we're going to go to dinner. It is so nice outside. I wish it was this nice every day that we were here, but I'm thankful that we got a really good beach day in. We are going to Tacky Jack's for dinner. I really like the atmosphere there, and they have something everybody's going to like. We're here. I'll get my shoes on. Come on.
Right there's our
Y'all ready to eat? Yeah. The girls are out there playing. We're gonna feed some fish.
There's Daddy.
I'll get
The kids. This is March the 30th of 2024. There's other videos too.
Here, have some.
No.
Pretty good? Johnny had a little too much fun in the sun, so my dad had to drive me back to our Airbnb.
I have provided nothing but facts and proof. It's up to each one of you to make your own decision. I love y'all, and I'll see you.
Or fleeing bond, but that's about all I knew about her dad being out of jail. I absolutely had no idea that he was staying at their house, going on vacations, babysitting my kid. Really, why doesn't Patience say anything? Everybody keeps calling me a liar based on things that come from allegedly Patience's side of the camp, but they're not saying anything. And that should mean something to y'all. I have a lawyer. My lawyer didn't say I wasn't allowed to talk on the internet. Obviously, he told me to watch what I say, but I'm a dumbass country boy, y'all. I speak my mind. I don't lie to people to get attention or whatever. I don't give a about the internet. I don't care about making money on the internet. I didn't come here looking for money. I come here because I felt like I've been tired of patients being a crappy person to me as the father of my children. Ironically, it coincidentally coincided with what Betty had going on. I hadn't talked to Betty in years. Like I said, I learned a lot from watching Betty's post. So stop saying I didn't do anything.
And lastly, I'm going to show you the videos that the mother of the victim, Betty, posted to TikTok.
My name is Betty Frioff, and I don't do TikTok. I watch the videos, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out there since this is advocating for my daughter. My daughter was by her patient's wolf's dad, Jeremy Pierce. He was sentenced to 15 years. In the meantime, with all this, he was in jail. He got bonded out. And for just a short period of time, and then he got back in jail. But as that time and patients had documentation, she knew that it was true and what happened. She allowed her dad and her mother, which are both druggies, to live there at the house around her children. When this happened to my daughter, her two children were there in the same bed, and they were sleeping right next to my daughter. Sorry, but this is getting a little emotional. We've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now, and he finally got convicted, and he's in prison where he belongs. Patients' kids were there when this happened. They were literally sleeping next to my daughter. Patients was supposed to go have her children checked, but did not. The DA has reached out to Patients here recently, but Patients was rude, disrespectful, did not care. I don't care about Patients being TikTok famous or whatever the hell this is with the TikTok. She can do what she wants to do. But you are buying your daughter's love. Your daughter's going to hate you when she grows up because you did not advocate for her. Just because that is your father, you have proof. And this happened to her niece, and at the time, Patients had custody of her niece. And Jeremy told Patients and her mom, "Oh, I was drunk. I thought it was my wife." So they didn't do anything, and they didn't go advocate for that little girl. And Patients is literally just buying her children love. Some of us know the real Patients behind this camera. Is my daughter. And my daughter has been sick since she was 6 months old. She's had stage 3 brain cancer. She's had 4 brain surgeries, and she's had 6 weeks of radiation. Not to mention what Jeremy did to her. And if Patients would have just went and pressed charges because she knows what happened, he would have got life. But she didn't, because she's too busy behind that camera and trying to be famous or whatever she's trying to do. But she is not the real person as you all think. What I care about is my daughter. I'm here advocating for my daughter. She has been through hell and enough problems. And then Jeremy, her dad, on top of this. But I just wanted to get the real story out there. And Patients, you can block me, you can do what you want. But you are wrong. You did not protect your children. You're still not protecting your children. You still have people living with you that are on drugs and dope and whatever else they do. There's a lot of things about you, and I'm not even going to go into any more detail. All I can say is she's a fake, she's a piece of shit, and she needs to be held responsible for taking care of her children. And I hope you rot just as far as your dad does. And I don't care whoever, they can come after me and do whatever they want. But this is the real truth behind Patients. And I do feel bad, and I understand that this is her father, but I don't care who it is. He hurt not one little girl, 2 little girls, but several. And truth be known, who knows how many that he really hurt. He just ain't got caught, but now he has. And you are wrong for not going and protecting your children. But you will reap what you sow. When that is old enough, she's going to hate you, if she don't already. But that's what I have to say about the situation. Please keep my daughter in prayers as she battles still every day with fighting. She has been in remission for 2 years now, but she still has seizures. She still has problems. She has still in therapy for what Jeremy has done to her. So keep me and my family in your prayers. Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. My name's Betty Friedoff, and as some know, I made a post yesterday about Patients Wolf. Some people are asking me questions. wanting a little more clarification. So I'm going to clear this up, and this will be my last time. I'm going to verify a couple things that need to be said. Mind you, I had to put my daughter's business out here because of this crap. But that's okay, because my daughter's a fighter. She's a survivor, and half you grown folks couldn't handle what that baby's been through. But I'm going to give you a little update, okay? Jeremy was married to my best friend, Karen, of over 14 years. So my kids were at...
Okay, so that means that the stepmother, Karen, who killed herself because she was indicted on charges of knowing about the SA, was this lady's best friend for 14 years. That her best friend allowed her husband to do
Karen's
that.
house, which is where Jeremy was. People's asking, why were the kids at Patient's house? My kids were not at Patient's house when this happened. They were at Karen's house. Karen was like their aunt, grandma. They called her Aunt KK. And Patient's kids would go over there because her dad would watch her kids a lot. Because she went out and partied. This is when she was married to her other ex-husband. And for whatever reason, they were there. So they had a big king-size bed. And my daughter and Patience's 2 kids and Karen's grandson, they were all sleeping in that bed. And when this happened, Jeremy, when he was doing what he was doing to my daughter, those 3 little babies, which is like 2, 3, 4, was 4, 5, they were all sleeping next to him. Yes, all those kids woke up. Little actually woke up and pushed that grown-ass man and said, get off my. And he pushed him. And when he did, he busted his head and he had to get stitches in his eye right here. 3 or 4 of them. Little woke up. She was screaming at the top of her lungs. And little couldn't even talk because he's autistic. And everybody at that point kept telling her that. But she never did get him help for that. But that's a whole nother story. But anyway, these kids woke up and seen this horrific thing that was happening to this little girl. So we're not saying that if he touched those other kids, I'm sure he probably did. Nobody knows because their mother, Patience Wolf, didn't go get them help, didn't go get them talked to, didn't go get a therapy, didn't do but sit on the internet and make her some money. So we're not saying that if anything did happen to them, nobody ever know but them little babies and him. But the problem is you knew that your babies woke up. You knew that your babies were there. And you didn't go even get them checked, get them help. Nothing. You didn't do shit. That's why I'm mad at Patience Wolf. Because you're supposed to be them babies' voices. You didn't, and you're still not. Because you're too busy hiding behind a camera trying to make money. So, as far as Karen was supposed to be my best friend. She walked in on this when this was happening. And instead of doing what she should have done to him, which I'm not allowed to say on here, or calling the police or calling me, she took all them kids out on a shopping spree. Okay. So there were supposed to be trials set 3 different times, and it's been canceled. Twice of those because at the time my daughter's cancer came back. She was literally on her dying bed, and they said, buddy, she's not coming through on this one. But she did, because she's a fighter. She's a survivor, and God's got her, as her mother has her. So it's been canceled. Well, then last year, right before Christmas, Karen OD'd and killed herself. As Patience is on here saying, back then when it happened, oh, I need a GoFundMe page. My dad's wife had a heart attack. No, didn't. She killed herself because she was getting ready to face trial because she was facing just as much time as Jeremy was. So, with all that, people's asking, why didn't you say anything sooner? Why didn't you say anything sooner? Let me tell you something. This ain't something you want to talk about. with the world. And I don't do this TikTok, especially with my daughter. But at the time, I wasn't allowed to mention nothing or say anything. And when it first happened, I did put a post on my Facebook. And the DA reached out and said, Betty, take it down. And I said, no, I ain't. He said, it's going to affect your children and you. Take it down. Okay, cool, I will, for the respect of them, because they were awesome through this case with me. They worked hell hard to get him where he's at. So I did take it down. But like I said, I don't take this lightly, and this ain't something I want to get on here, because now my daughter's whole life is exposed to the world over a piece of shit. But that's okay, because like I said, she's going to get through this, as she has with her cancer, and as she has with everything else that she's going through and will go through in her life. But she has me here, her mother, who will be her voice until the day that I'm out of here. But patience, you should have went and got them kids checked. You should have went and had them talk to somebody. And it's not too late. You can still have them kids talk to. Because your daughter's going to hate you. She's going to resent you. I'm sure she does already. But that's another story. But I just wanted to clear up a little bit of the air of what really went down and what really happened. Like I said, Patience can do what she wants. She can hide behind that camera, but a lot of us know the real Patience. You were nothing back then, and just because you think you're famous now, you're nothing now. You need to be in jail where your dad's at, and you need to rot in hell. But that's not my business. I'm not the judge. I'm not God. But Jeremy's where he's at, where he needs to be, and where hopefully he stays forever. But y'all just continue to pray for my daughter as she's fighting these demons in battle, and now it's all over the internet. But that's okay, because she'll get through that too. But I hope this cleared up some air for you and some of the questions. And the trolls that are taken up for, you're a piece of shit too.
So this is Patience Wolf herself. In the video, I showed you a snippet in the very beginning of her saying, yes, my dad is in jail for this and it sucks. You could go to her profile on TikTok and watch the whole video. It's 4 minutes long, and she only talks about what her dad did in the first few seconds. The rest of the video, she talks about her ex-boyfriend. That's her baby daddy. She spends the majority of the video talking about her baby daddy and how they bought him a truck and he defaulted on the truck and da-da-da, like stuff that does not matter at all. Talk about how you let your dad go with you guys to the beach. Talk about the accusation that you let your dad come live with you after he was indicted for these things. And as we now know from Betty, the mother of the victim, this child is a cancer survivor. This is a cancer surviving little girl that was taken advantage of, and all the other accusations that surrounds the event. And by the way, this happened multiple times, not just that one time. That one time where Karen walked in and the other kids were there, that was the time. That is how this came out in the open. But it was happening on the low without the other kids seeing and stuff like that for months, according to the indictment. So I just do not understand the parasocial relationships that people have with influencers when things like this happen. This is the most horrendous thing that can happen to children. I think that SA of children is the worst crime there is. It's worse than murder, in my opinion. It's worse than anything else. And the fact that these people are like, well, I've been following her for 4 years. And so, I'm praying for her. Oh, there was people on TikTok talking about how, well, the devil knows that you went to church recently, and that's why. That is not why this is happening. That is not why this is getting exposed. This is happening because she allowed her father to have access to her children after he did this, after he was indicted, after he confessed. It's just so infuriating. I just want to thank you guys for watching, and I don't even know what to say as a closer because it's just such a disheartening, heartbreaking topic, but I do appreciate you guys for being here.